And it's going to be a great show. We got John Cox going to be with us in just a little while. He's practicing. I can't believe it. I'm so appreciative of John making time for us. He has 1 day of practice. That's right. He's going to compete in the elites with 1 day of practice, and he's taking tonight after his practice day, night before the tournament, to come and spend a little time with us. So if you've got some questions for John, make sure that you're ready with those. We're going to have him on in just a little while, and I see a face that may be new to you guys. And we're really pleased to have him with us at Bash University. He's working as our new intern. He's behind the scenes. You see him on social. You're going to see him around a lot more. And we're glad to have him with us tonight. We have Alex Nair with us tonight, buddy. How are you?
Woo. Doing great, Pete. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
You definitely have the best backdrop of anybody here on the call tonight.
Thank you. It's been a big hit over on Travis's channel, so I'm hoping that continues over here. It goes with me everywhere I go.
That's awesome. Shout out to Smallmouth Crush over there. I've been watching his smallmouth interviews over there.
Yeah.
The latest and greatest, I picked up Steve Clapper interview, which was just Steve. For those of you, he won the FLW Open, a $200,000 Open tournament out there on Lake Erie. He's won everything that there is to win. One of the greatest smallmouth anglers in the history of the world. And it was great that Travis was able to corral him for an interview. Really cool stuff. Go check it out. But
appreciate him wearing our hat too the other night.
That's right.
Saw that.
Yeah,
he's rocking this one, I think.
He does. He wears that camo hat a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you for that, Travis. And but Alex, man, it's great to have you with us. Give you a little background. I'm going to read your bio right here. You're 21 years old. You're on the Ball State fishing team. You're in the Marine Reserves, and you're married with cats.
Yes.
Is that true?
So about last October, my wife was just begging for a cat. So I gave in to the cat, and 2 days later, I came home with my first bass boat. So I thought it was a pretty good trade-off.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'd make that trade.
Yeah. Nice move.
That's a great one. Well, I appreciate, and I wore this hat. We got this brand new Bash University hat that we just made, and I thought I'd wear it tonight in your honor because we have a Marine in our midst. So I appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate your service.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anytime, and it's done given me a lot of opportunities, opened a lot of doors, and I'm just happy I was able to help out as much as I could.
Well, awesome. Well, you've been helpful here at Bash U, and you're on the Ball State fishing team. You, like everybody else in our crew, you were out on the water this weekend fishing. So, talk to me a little bit of where is Ball State? What part of the country are you fishing?
So Ball State is located in Muncie, Indiana. It's about an hour northeast of Indianapolis. And this weekend, we were technically fishing unaffiliated from the school because they don't want us traveling and stuff. So the Association of Collegiate Anglers was nice enough to allow students that schools are not allowing travel. They let us go down there anyways, just compete as unaffiliated anglers. So big shout out to them for doing that. We were down on Kentucky Lake fishing the Big Bass Bash. It's a little different format tournament. It only takes one fish to win the whole thing. It's just all about the big bite, and they got 4 different weighing sessions each day, and you just got to try to get the biggest bite you can in those sessions, and you can kind of strategize where you want to weigh in based on what you want to win. And it started off kind of tough. We had the first 2 days. It was the first time I'd ever been there. My partner had been there one time before, and the first 2 days of practice, we came home with 0 bites. So we were going into the tournament. We had nothing to go on. We went back into a creek that we just went in there because it seemed like there was a lot of life in there. There's a lot of bait fish swimming around. Even though we didn't get bit in there, we just felt good about it. And about 30 minutes into the tournament, I got 3 quick bites, and that just kind of gave us a clue, and we ran with it as much as we could, and we tried to duplicate it for about the next 4 hours and didn't get another bite. So we tried to be observant, everything, pay attention to all those little nuances and everything. And we noticed that every major creek we went into, there's about 3 or 4 boats separated by 200 yards, just going down the bank, cranking, throwing an Alabama rig. And so I picked up on that. And that night I said, you know what, man, we we just need to go finesse fishing tomorrow. So I threw a shaky head 95% of the time the next day. My partner started out throwing a Ned rig, and he switched to the shaky head because he's getting hung up a lot. I had a 7-inch Berkeley hit worm. That was another rule they have too, is the event was presented by Berkeley. So the second day was Berkeley baits only. So I had a 7-inch max scent hit worm. He had a 4-inch general. And the last 30 minutes of the tournament, I had about a 3-pounder in the box that ended up just missing the money. And then I said, "This bank looks good to me. Does it look good to you?" And he goes, "Yep." We pull up there, get 2 quick bites. They're about 14 inches. They got to be 15 inches for a keeper down there. And then go about 15 yards down the bank. And I look back and I hear some drag peeling and a 5-pound smallmouth jumping 2 feet out of the water. And I said, "Oh boy." So I did an absolutely terrible net job, but we ended up getting the fish in the boat, waded in, got 8th overall, ate our cheeseburgers, and drove home for the night.
That's awesome.
that is awesome. I'm a smallmouth. What a clutch catch down there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know they're not quite as abundant as the largemouth are, and Kentucky Lake has gotten kind of a bad rap with all the carp scenario that you're dealing with down there. Did you see them? Were they jumping around for you, or did you see them on your sonar?
Yeah, we didn't see him jumping. I was kind of happy about that. I didn't want to get hit in the face with 20 pounds of carp, but I have the Humminbird Mega Side imaging on my Helix, and I was very impressed with it. I mean, we could go by a school of them, and I could see the fork in the tail of the carp on my side image, and I'd never seen that detail like that. And that really impressed me. But yeah, they were everywhere. We kind of noticed the more of those you saw, the less bass you saw around. So we tried to avoid them as best we could.
Yeah, no kid. Well, that's great, man. What a great catch. 8th place. And those tournaments are kind of fun. I've never fished them, but we fish around here. We fish the what's that prize called, Brian, when you catch the unusual fish for
most unusual fish.
What do we call that prize?
Pete.
Miscellaneous prize.
Mm-hmm.
Miscellaneous.
Yeah, that's kind of fun fishing for those one fish deals, and we fish for miscellaneous. It's fun.
But no, it shall now be most unusual.
You got to change it now.
Thank you, Pete. Another gem.
Yep.
Right now. Down.
We'll keep them coming. Keep them coming. So that's great, man. Was that your first tournament of the season? Was that your kickoff event, or have you been fishing for a while?
It was, yeah. This is our first one of the season. We just got the ice off out here about a month ago, and I got another one this weekend. Looking forward to it. So pretty much from here till August, I have a tournament just about every weekend. So I'm looking forward to that, getting the work in this year and putting some hours on the boat. And it should be a good year. Started off on a good note, which I really wanted to do. So I'm hoping I can just keep that momentum rolling.
Man, I hope so too. How are things at? I'm curious as to how the college fishing team operates. I know they're probably different everywhere, but do you guys have weekly meetings, or do you have strategy sessions? How do you guys go about the business of becoming better anglers?
Absolutely. Yeah. So our club's I think it's a lot different than a lot of the bigger clubs. Ball State is certainly, no one's coming here on a bass fishing scholarship. No one's coming here because they want to be on the bass team. It's just a lot of people that love fishing. And, we try to get as many people out as we can. Not everyone has a boat. So I'm the vice president, and the president was my partner this weekend in the past tournament. So we always just try to get people involved. We're always, if they have a question, feel free to ask us, or I always try to send people your guys' way as well, because there's no better resource out there. But we do our best. Like, one thing that was important to us is we always try to, because a lot of the bites around here are rather tough. So we always just try to preach persistence to everyone. And that was what my partner did this weekend. He called it a persistence fish. He didn't catch a keeper the whole tournament. And then the last 30 minutes, he catches a 5-pound smallmouth. If he quits casting, gives up, says, "I'm just going to eat a sandwich and sit here for the last 30 minutes," he doesn't catch that fish. And so we always try to preach that. And just, there's a lot of people that fish it that they just have passion for the sport. And that's really what we're looking for in our club members. And a lot of people they like to keep their head down and fish, and we promote that. And that's really the most way we learn. We just keep our head down and fish. We look for any opportunity we have to learn and just roll with what we can get.
Do you have like a night before the tournament strategy sessions? Do you guys compare notes to help each other that way? How do you guys do that?
Yeah. So for this one, my buddy had a paper map, which I had never really used one before, but I really I've started to see the value in it because I love that visual of having it in front of me. I can trace up and down. I can see, okay, I went here and I went here, and then we can all point out. It just makes it a lot easier than having it on a little laptop screen. So the paper map was a new technology for us in this tournament, but I think it really helped out a lot. So I think I'll be using that a lot more. And yeah, we definitely do have those meetings before the tournament. We're not really hiding anything from each other. We want everyone to catch fish. So we always try to say, hey, I caught him on a jerk bait on a steep drop off and 10 foot of water, something like that. So we're really open with everyone, and we just try to make sure everyone has a good time and can get out there and get some fish in the boat.
That's great. Except for the part that you said you've never seen, and I have piles of paper maps, You've never seen a paper map before.
Not before last week, no.
You make me feel so old, Brian. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Guys are using their phones, they're using their computers, or like paper. What? That, how's that helpful? Can you imagine? And it's funny you say that because I want to go back to the Steve Clapper interview.
Mm-hmm.
Paper maps I still use them just like you do. I love to open them at where I'm staying. I'll put them on the wall.
Yeah.
And that way you can kind of put your bites in perspective, and the conditions on the lake become in more perspective. But Steve Clapper was talking about when he would navigate with a compass out on Lake Erie before Loran, before GPS, before all that stuff. And I hate to admit it, but I was right there with him. But that's great. It's great that you guys are working together, and all for the love of the sport of fishing. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate what you do for us. So we're I'm hoping you can hang out with us for a little while. We're gonna keep talking fishing and with all the guys. And congrats on your 8th place finish. Where's your next tournament? Just let us know.
My next one, it's fishing for the club that I fish for in Indiana, the White River Bassmasters. They call it the Cabin Fever. So it's the first one of the year. It's the club fundraiser. So that's out on Geist Reservoir in Indianapolis this weekend. It's open to anyone. If anyone lives in the Indianapolis area, feel free to stop by. It's from 8 to 4. Should be a great event. So I'm going to get a good day of practicing on Friday and see what I can sack up on Saturday. So I'm hoping for a good tournament to keep the momentum rolling.
No ice there?
No ice there. We're all pretty much ice safe. About 2 weeks ago, it started to break up pretty well. I took my boat out for the first time. I almost wrecked it. I was running down the lake and I see a bunch of seagulls. So I figured, maybe they're diving around bait or something. I drive about 100 yards from them and they're all just floating on a piece of ice in the middle of the lake. I thought they were swimming out. So I took a hard right turn and made it around that house to go.
How about that?
Man. I can't imagine that. I mean, I have hit ice at Idle before, but man, I've never hit it up on pad. That must be a real treat.
Real treat.
The bass boats can handle it pretty good. Anybody see Aaron Britt's fiasco?
Oh yeah.
How about that?
No, I didn't see it. What happened?
He pretty much tried to bunny hop an island.
Yeah, he tried to cut a corner. Yeah.
He landed
it looked like
though.
the Fonz jumping the shark. Alex, don't know what that was.
Never heard of it.
I'll send you the link.
Did he survive? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
He's okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, boat took a beating, but yeah.
Nice. Well, it's ice is going to be out everywhere pretty soon. We were just talking to some guys up in Minnesota. Their ice is already starting to wane a little bit, and hopefully we'll be open up there too. And we've had a lot of guys fishing. Riz, I want to throw it to you next. This is yet another win for you. It's it's one of our, South Jersey tournaments, but I mean, you just keep winning out there in your club, team tournaments, BFLs. It keeps going, man.
Yeah, Pete, it's this was one of those circumstances where I kind of had some history on this lake and kind of had an idea of what I thought might be going on going into it. And I'll be honest, I was not super excited about this event in the time of the year and kind of where the lake was. And I actually, on the way to the lake, I listened to Gerald Swindle PMA, on the way to the lake. And it kind of put things, it put me in a different frame of mind. And I just basically went fishing. I went to the part of the lake that I thought it should be going on in. And it turns out it was. And I was really fortunate to put together a limit in about the first 15 minutes of the tournament, and then adjust with the fish as the conditions changed, or as I would say, as the bite compressed.
Yes, compressed.
It started off with a group of fish a little bit off the bank on bait. I could see them pushing bait to the surface, and I was able to get those fish to fire under low light conditions on a chatterbait. Filled out my limit pretty quickly. And that deal slowed down a little bit. I pushed away from where I had him penned up early and put a little bite together on a jerk bait. I actually at one point I cut off both of my jerk baits off my rods, retied on 2 different colors, one being a natural color and then one being a shot color. And the first cast with the shot color, I got a bite and put that fish in the boat. And at that point, I thought, okay, now I got an idea what's going on. The fish are still out here. They just need something a little bit harder in the water to make them react. And just when you think you got them figured out in bass fishing, you usually don't. And that was the case. I caught that fish, and then again conditions changed. And what happened anyway, was the bait moved from offshore back to the banks. And actually I went up on the bank, and the first lay down that I pulled up to and looked down in the wood, I could actually see the balls of shad kind of swimming around through the lay downs. So I picked up the old 3/8 ounce spinner bait and started flipping and rolling. And lo and behold, I was able to put together a few more key bites on that towards the end of the day. One being a heavy 3-pounder. Boat flipped that thing in, and we were rocking and rolling from there. So it was a good first event to get back out and competing. The first event I fished out of the new Bass Cat as well. Ooh. So we went ahead and broke that boat in proper, and I'm looking forward to a few more. See what the rest of the year has in store.
That's how you started off, man.
That's
right on, dude.
Either one way to go. We can keep going up, or just it's all down from there. But we're gonna try and keep it going on in the right direction.
Bar set high.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, there's something to that. I've had boats that you just can't win out of, and others that you can. It's so weird. So you got it christened right, man. That's awesome. I want to ask you about your shock color.
Yeah.
On your bait. What's your shock color?
It's shout out to Rapala, Shadow Wrap, and I'm just gonna straight up just give up the juice, because I'm not good at not telling the truth about things. So it's a Shadow Wrap, made by Rapala. Most guys just throw Lucky Crafts or Mega Bass or whatever. I'm still throwing the Shadow Wrap. I have an understanding of what that bait does in the water. I know how to weight it with hooks to dial in how quick the sink rate is, because it is a slow sinking bait. And the color is it's like a fire engine red color. We had Hank Cherry on last year, and he was talking a lot about red colored jerk baits, and that sucker was sitting on the right on the deck of my boat, and I looked at it and said, that looks pretty good. And tied it on, and first cast, sure enough, it was it got one to react to it, and was able to put it in the boat. There's something special about that Shadow Wrap, the shallow running version. In our lakes, Pete, you know how shallow our lakes are. South Jersey, max depth in a lot of these places is 3 to 4 feet. So throwing that bad boy out there on 10-pound mono, you can really fish it slowly, keep it up, but really hit it hard to give it the action you want it to, and trigger those fish into biting.
That's an excellent little tool and recollection. JK, you and I were just talking about the red jerk baits just a couple hours ago.
Yeah, we were, Pete.
That's crazy.
We got sidetracked. Don't get us in trouble with the other bosses, man. I mean, we got a little sidetracked today a few times.
It's funny, like we were just talking about, it's amazing that was something that worked for you, because we were just both recollecting that same seminar by Hank Cherry. And, but it was a great win, man. Good start. What's the next derby for you, Rich?
Next derby for me, I think this weekend is off. I don't know if there's anything. Oh wait, no, I have a club tournament this weekend on Sunday with my dad on another small South Jersey lake. And then after that, I think is the season opener on the flats, April the 3rd. River Rats launching out of Tiding, so I'll be geared up and ready to go for that. I'm still in the process of kind of getting the boat ready to go. I'm waiting on a couple of more things from Humminbird to come in, but outside of that, the boat's rigged up and ready to go. But it's nice to kind of get things going with a couple of smaller level events, just club tournaments, just kind of get the wheels in motion and get back in the swing of things before jumping out there into the big water. So
awesome. Yeah, shout out to the River Rats. Maybe another 9-pounder will be caught in that tournament.
It could happen, Pete. You never know on that Chesapeake.
Places got them.
It does.
And they're pre-spawn now, so that 9-pounder is going to be like a 10-15.
Yeah.
Right now. So this is the time. This is the time for it. But well, cool, man. Good luck in the rest. And Brian, you're busy too, man. You had a 4th place, almost won that derby. Where were you guys fishing?
We fished up on Assunpink. There was 5 Alive had a open buddy on Assunpink on Sunday. I jumped in with like I said, a young kid, Justin. It was a good time, man. I was running a little bit late and I missed all the excitement. I got to the lake and found out that everybody, or half the field at least, had seen the UFO that morning, which was pretty rad. Mike even took a picture of it.
What?
Yeah, did you hear about it, Pete?
No, it's news to me. What happened?
Giant orb in the sky with lights, just kind of like that. And everyone, or almost everybody, saw it. And the most remarkable thing about it was, I had 3 or 4 guys, throughout the day that I ran into, bring it up. Hey, dude, did you see the UFO this morning? I'm like, nah. And he's like, yeah, it was crazy, man. It was just, just there, and it was amazing. And Ike and Ellie got a picture of it, and blah, blah. I was like, wow, really? Yeah, you catching them? Like, well, blah, blah, blah. And then the conversation changed, and it would never come up again. The rest of the day, and then weigh-ins, no one even ever talked about it. I'm like, what the heck? I'm driving home, like, what? How do we skip right past the damn UFO? But well, we did. Apparently, I think I saw. It freaked out. Seriously, man, it freaked me out. Like, wait a second, we're here worrying about it. Did I catch a 2-pound bass? But visitors were just here telling us, giving us the answers, and no one cared.
Man, talk about throwing somebody off their game in a tournament. Like, hey, you catching them? Yeah. Did you see the UFO?
Didn't work. Martian. They were like right back to, are you catching them? We forgot all about the UFO.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
no one
crazy.
No
I know Martians are participating in your tournament. Nobody's talking
Martians
about
are in Washington, D.C. Nobody even cares about the ones in the sky.
Well,
it's crazy.
Well, what was the verdict on the orb in the air?
Sounds
SpaceX.
Like the government came up with an excuse saying that SpaceX and NASA put some satellite in the sky. Allegedly.
I heard SpaceX launched a satellite
and ruined all my hopes
Florida
and dreams.
Well, if it goes straight, it's probably ours. But if it starts doing that vertical stuff where it goes from 0
then
to
it's Russian
mile in the air, then it's Martian or Russian.
That's right, Martian or Russian, one or the other.
Tournament
was fun. It was typical Assunpink. They get all in the all in the same spot and eat the same thing, and everybody's there, circling around each other, trying to land on one.
Happy to be there, though.
Yeah. We ended up just missing it. A couple of Rich's buddies, Connor and Adam, actually won. Had 4 for like 9 or something like that, and we had 4th with 3 fish for 7. So we were right there, 1 bite away. Good time though. And something I picked up on last year, the guys that really smoked them last year, about the same time of the year, everybody's out there trapping, throwing the rattle trap, red rattle trap, and those guys had spinning rods. And I noticed they're throwing a little tiny one. So the night before, I was digging through my box, finding I'm talking like 1/8 ounce, rattle traps. I found an old spot, cotton cordell spot from probably the 90s, and took the red spike it marker and made a red one out of it, and that's what got the ball rolling for us.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Very nice. Rattle traps, jerk baits, chatter baits. It's
that time of year.
It's that time of year. There's
Yep,
no
yep.
doubt. I was out a little bit. I didn't fish a derby, but I had my first trip with the cat out, and the hummingbirds fired up, and just kind of putting the boat through its paces, getting it ready to get ready. And
So you want a boat ride?
I won a boat ride, but I won. I won because I did what I recommend that everybody does, is I kept my rod lockers locked, and I worked with my sonar, and it's constant work. I mean, there's with 360 with side imaging, there's so much to learn, and I'm playing with color palettes. I'm trying to learn sensitivities and gains and how I can benefit from them. And I spent a little time doing it. But here's the highlight. Buddy Gross told us on Bass U that when you're looking for schools of fish, the best way to do it, if you guys remember, he said, get up on top of the ledge, get up on top in the shallow parts, and allow the side imaging to scan out over the break, so it's scanning out over the deep water. And you're trying to pick off the suspended fish or bait fish that are hanging on the break, or even suspended out off the break. And as I was, playing with it, and all of a sudden I glanced at my side imaging screen, and an entire school of fish just polluted the screen. And it was so obvious, like where you're normally, if you scan the other way, you have to try to adjust your color palette, and you really got to know what you're looking for. You're looking for those white spots, those hard returns, and it's hard to pick them out if you're in wood, or there's other rocks there, stuff like that. But in this instance, it was amazing. Like the white returns over the black background of the drop off was just absolutely incredible. I whipped out a umbrella rig through Shane's Baits umbrella rig out there, and picked up a couple nice stripers. That's what they were. They were stripers, not bass, but nonetheless, cool. I learned. I had a great experience working with my sonar, and it's really highly recommended.
How big were the stripers, Pete?
Like the biggest one was maybe 8 pounds.
Oh, damn.
That's a good one.
That's a good time.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm casting at them every time. I might cast at them in a tournament. That's they're fun to catch.
Eddie.
You know how they load up this time of year? They're all making their way up to the top of the bay to spawn.
Yeah.
And the one that I caught looked like a small female, the big one. And lots of males, and the big females, the real big females, will be making their way up here. They're up there right now. Nice. I guarantee you. But it's a lot of fun, a lot of life, a lot of shad, a lot of good stuff. But JK,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Let me give you a timeline.
Okay,
if I may. We got 7:42, and we got John Cox at 8:15.
Okay,
so let's
very cool.
Budget the time accordingly. Go ahead, get them, Peter.
I have, we have some comments. Pete Cook says, JK, you need to just stay home this weekend.
Hey, we're changing lakes, man. Come on.
JK, the big winner this weekend,
yes.
And I know you guys watching it on social or hearing about it, but JK won a massive BFL with a 190 boat field on Lake Oconee. Dominated, didn't just win, but dominated on the boater side for a giant win. Man, awesome, JK.
Congratulations, man.
Well done. Well done, JK.
Thank you, guys. You guys pumped me up. I love delivering the news when it's good news to our text thread. it's a lot of fun, a lot of energy there.
Yep. Well, we're going to make you give up the goods because I got another Facebook comment where I'm on Oconee this weekend. Where should I go? So,
well, I actually, yeah, I forgot about that. Stay tuned till later in the show. I do have a list for the Oconee guys. There's a giant high school tournament. I've had 78 messages, so there's probably 200 boats. And rather than send all of you guys to the same spot, I'll give up the 5 things that I would have tied on to Oconee to catch big ones this weekend.
Good call.
Awesome.
So I'll give the high schoolers around here some love. I know a lot of them are watching. Appreciate a lot of the texts and messages I've gotten from you all. But yeah, we'll get to that a little later when we need to cover that list.
Well, it was a monster win. We were talking before the show, and I didn't remember this, but you have won 7 BFLs. Now the others, this is a big deal because you were fishing as a co in the other 6. You stepped into the front of the boat in this tournament. You're making that transition, and unbelievable. You lit them up, but that's 7 wins. You've won more money in the MLF than a lot of the people on the boater side.
Man, I appreciate that so much so that U.S. Open still won't let me in, but just slide that in there. But man, it's been a blessing, just to connect that many times, because we all have the stories of how close we were, the opportunity that went wrong, and didn't get us into that winner's circle, and it haunts us. But to be able to have that many of these awesome looking trophies, these are like my favorite. To get that All-American one was a dream come true for sure. And to step to the boater side, it was a big leap for me, actually. I did that last year. I fished a full season in the Savannahs. I barely made the regional. I cut 1 top 20 check and learned some hard lessons. Honestly, had some good decisions and some bad executions and some bad decisions, and had a decent Bassmaster Open. But really, man, I looked at what I wanted to do for 2022, and that's go out there with you and fish the Bassmaster Opens. At least, try to take a crack at, now that they went back from 4 to 3, I can kind of manage that time. And that's what I really want to do, just so I can say that at least I chased my dream of fishing in the Bassmaster Classic one day. And I'm looking at that, and I listed my boat for sale. And I was going to take not the easy way out, but the more smart, financial, better for my family. I'm trying not to go into the All-American money. We're doing other things with that for our future and stuff. But I just really wanted to figure out a way. And I felt like if I sold the boat now rather than after this season, it would be worth a little bit more. And I could fish cheaper on the co-angler side and team tournaments and hopefully make enough to cover my entry fees. And man, over the last few weeks, something was just pulling at me. Started with my 7-year-old daughter saying, hey, you can't sell the boat until we fish a tournament together. And I took her and had an amazing time, and we heard about that. And then last week, my tournament partner bowed out last minute, and I took my wife, and we had an amazing time, and I just, it just kept pulling at me, and I said, well, if we take a crack at it like this, and I risk my regional qualification and take a crack at the boater side just this one time, I can still fish the other 3 and try to win one of those 3 to risk my regional. So really, I was making it hard on myself. I put myself in a little bit of a position, but deep down, I didn't want to get rid of that boat. Deep down, I didn't want to do it the way that I was doing it.
We talked about it, and I know you did. I mean, you kind of, it was amazing what you did with your wife. Your team partner couldn't make it. Your wife stepped in.
3 kids.
Yep.
Yeah, 3 kids.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us about
it. Kat stepped in, and you guys teamed up and what took 9th in a major team tournament. It's man, you did well with your daughter. You did amazing with Catherine. And then we were talking that week. You're like, you know what, Pete? I'm thinking I want to maybe jump in this BFL in the boater side. And
yep.
Man, I'm psyched that you did it. You've just rode that momentum, and man, oh man, it worked out great for you.
Yeah, it really did. I was hoping that maybe some of the stuff would translate from last week. And I actually didn't even go there in practice. I didn't want to be seen there.
Right, because you were catching them on a pre-spawn area. That's where your big ones came last weekend, staging up, and the weather had been stable and warming. But
we had a major warming trend. Yep.
Right. So that didn't hold up for you
nope.
this weekend.
It didn't, and I'll just dive right into it. We blasted off at 6:30. My boat number probably didn't get called till about 6:50. I was 102 out of 194, and had about a 15-minute run down south. And I drive slow, so
you don't hit ice.
Dude, Oconee is filled. That's what I'll say to you high schoolers out there. Be safe. Oconee is filled with floaters right now. The weather was so nice that everybody came out there in the afternoon, and I must have hit something that I didn't see on the way back, because I came back with a bent prop. One of my ears was bent, so it kind of boxed me in on my last couple hours. But yeah, there's a lot of trash out there. So you got to go around.
Yeah, so you're running down there to start at your pre-spawn area.
Yeah, I wanted to go straight to there's a few casts, that really seemed like if I could get a fish down there, I considered it a bonus because of what I found in practice. I was really excited about, and I gave it, because it slowly developed for me and Catherine, I gave it a good solid hour, about 50 minutes actually. And so I got to my spot around 7:05, and when I can remember looking at it, and it was 7:57, and I've got 0 fish. I caught 2 non-keepers, about 13 and a half inches long as a 14-inch limit. And I said, all right, it's time to go. It's going to be a really bright day. The sun was coming up, and I got on a dock deal in practice, and I said, all right, let's go. Let's see if they'll bite this early for me. And about 8 o'clock, I left. It took me about 10 minutes to get where I was going, and I had a series of about 5 pockets that were all next to each other or close to each other within about a 1 mile stretch of this creek arm. And whatever was going on in those pockets in that 1 mile stretch, it was going on in every single one of them. I know I talked to Pete, and I'll tell a little about this later, but I talked to you the night before the tournament and said that I was shaking fish off in this pocket, and then I went to the next one and shook them off in that pocket, then went to the next one, shook them off there. And I'd only get a few docks in and have multiple bites, so I didn't even go through the whole thing. And my plan was just to go through the whole thing in the tournament, and I felt like I could spend my whole day in those pockets, And so I ran in there. It was about 10 after 8:15 or so, and man, my second dock, it was a backside of dock deal for me the night before. It's like that's where they positioned. It wasn't really like that in the morning, and then it just kind of happened. And I caught a 3-pounder. I was flipping a 3/8. I was flipping a half. I was flipping a 1/2 ounce jig, and I had both a half and a 3/8, but I started with a half because I was on some deeper docks to start with. And I was flipping a black and blue missile flip out jig with just a chunk trailer. And I would slide it under the walkway, and you get that hard thump. And that's like, I love fishing like that, And she's rolling off. I just blast her, and it's a 3-pounder to start the day. And so now you're kind of easing into it. You go a couple docks down, slide one under the back corner post of a dock, and 2-pounder, you know. And then let's see, we went about another dock down, and I caught a 2.5-pounder. I thought I was on some bigger fish in those pockets, but I was happy to have that. Those are quality. Listen, if you caught 11 or 12 or 13 pounds at Lake Oconee this last weekend, you did great. Like, that's just the way Oconee is, you know, like it is tough. It's just a tough lake. And then we're getting summertime boat pressure, you know, boating, you know, the pleasure boaters out there in March already. You know, it was an 80-degree day on Saturday. They fired it up early, you know, and it makes it tough, you know, and because those fish, if they, you know, if they want to spawn, they do particular things, and then if they're not quite ready, they're gonna kind of change. And I was trying to be open to that, and I after I caught that third one in about 4 docks or 5 docks, I started just honing in. I said, I'm gonna do this. I'd make like maybe a cast on the front of the dock and maybe a cast at the wall in between. But dude, I was going in and out and picking apart the key places I felt like I could just run. You know, this is the way it was last night. I felt like I had 20 pounds of bites in practice, you know. And so I go a few docks down, and I'm coming out of this one, the first pocket, and I catch one that's about 15.5 inches. I'm like, all right, 30 minutes has gone by. 40 minutes has gone by. I've got 4 for about 9.5 pounds. You know, we're doing good, but I'm kind of like, man, where are the big ones? You know, like I know they're here. And I go into that second pocket, and I'm fishing, and the sun's getting higher, and it's getting hot. Like I'm already getting hot. It's past 9 o'clock, you know, and all of a sudden I'm coming out of that second pocket, and that second pocket's got about 20 docks. Or no, the first one. The third one's got 20. The second one had maybe like 14 docks. And I look back, and I'm like, counting the last pocket, dude, I fished like 15 docks and not a single bite. And I'm like, all right, you need to slow your roll, buddy. About an hour's gone by, and they're not dialed. You're not dialed in like you thought you were. So I'm like, okay. I talked to Pete the night before. Okay, and Pete, this is where I've got a leg up on everybody in the field because of my job. Because I get to talk to the dean the night before a tournament. He gets to assess what I'm doing and say, hey, this is awesome. I love that you're on a bite that you are confident in, and this is your skill set. But beware, this water temperature is awful warm, man, and you're on a warming trend. These fish might pair up on you, or at least some of them. You might need to think about the spawn. I'm like, Pete, dude, I haven't gotten bit on a seawall since last May, man. Like, come on. And and he said, well, you know, just keep that in the back of your mind. And I said, man, I appreciate that. And when you were saying that, I looked at the bank, and there was about 4 dogwoods, giant dogwoods, and they're in full bloom.
When the dogwoods are blooming, the bass are on the bank.
How about that?
Yep. You know, and I hadn't been on the water since the previous weekend, and I was such in pre-spawn mode, and I was so stuck on, they're going to be in my first spot anyways. Well, I just said, okay, take what he says seriously. Let's be ready for that. So I had tied on a few things, including a wacky rig and a couple other things, just in case, like, you know, dragging a lizard. I used to love dragging a lizard around the spawn on Oconee. And just they were ready, you know. I had 2 jigs on. I was hoping that's all I was going to fish with all day long.
Sure.
Half ounce and a 3/8 ounce jig. And so I just said, you know what, we're going to start fishing. I'm coming out of this second pocket. We're going to go into the third, and I'm going to fish everything again. I'm going to fish the back sides. I'm going to fish the front sides. If I feel like there's, you know, brush out there, or it's worth casting way out in front, I'll do that. I'll fish the walls. I'll fish out from the walls, you know, just go fishing again, you know, and figure this thing out, because I truly felt whatever happened in the last hour, I should have got bit if I was dialed, you know, like something changed between 8:45 and 9:45. If like the way I'm tackling life as a boater, if I don't get bit in an hour, I am not on them. And I do not need to act or fish like I am on them. So I took that.
Justin, let me jump in for a second. So
Sure.
what you just said right there,
Write that down.
reminded me of something. Watching Duncan and Dudley on the NPFL this past week. It was actually day one of the event, I believe, and Dudley was saying how the guys in the event need to be, it's springtime, it's volatile, things change like that, and he went kind of into this comparison of like, you can walk by a flower in the morning and it's just closed up, it's just a bud, and an hour later it's wide open, and things are changing just like that. And you just said the same thing.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
cool.
I fully believe it in the spring, and I've learned over the years that, what Pete was preaching to me, I couldn't deny. I've seen it. I've seen it happen before, and I've been on the analyzing side of that where I didn't get it right. Where I lost my bite, and I had no explanation, and I wanted to solve the riddle, but the riddle was picking up different baits and being open to a different mood of a fish, and knowing
recognizing that bite had gone away. Because when I spoke to you the night before, and this was a critical thing and that I've run into so many times, is when you're on a pattern and you're getting bit so readily, and the next day on tournament day, all of a sudden you're not getting bit as readily, or the fish gets smaller.
Yeah. And they got smaller in that first pocket,
And that's like, boom, it's like the flag goes up. All right, something has changed. Well, what could possibly have changed? And in your scenario, you're in a spawning pocket with seawalls, and that was the change. And it's an easy adjustment to talk about. It's a hard adjustment to do on the water. And you did that.
Yeah, I came out of that pocket, and I just said, let's keep an open mind and let's just go fishing. I'm having fun. I've caught four fish, and I knew I could get enough bites on a jig, and I eventually did, to do well in that tournament. I just knew that if you're getting that many bites, and I was getting an insane amount the day before, and you're not getting them the next morning, there's a lot of those fish are changing because it's springtime. And so I just said, some of them might be in one mood, some of them might be in another, and let's just fish everything. And I'm fishing the deep side of a dock coming out of this pocket, and another competitor had passed me. We kind of small talked. He said he had like 3 or 4 small keepers, and I said I had 4, and I passed him, and he got about 2 docks down from me, but the pocket kind of turned, so I don't think he saw what went down next. But he was fairly close and just fished through there. And I looked at the seawall on the bank, and it had a little irregular turn, and that that can be a good spot to throw your lure during the spawn. That's no secret at our lakes. And out in front of that seawall, there was a dark spot. I don't know exactly what it was. Based on the type of area, I'm almost willing to say that it was a rock, but not like a riprap piece of rock, like just a big rock. And so I'm like, I want to throw my wacky worm. So I reached down, and my worm's not on the hook. Like it's not on the hook. And I about casting my jig, and I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it. I wasn't going to do this until I had a limit, but I got 4 decent ones. So I picked up a frog, and that's been something where it's hard to get a lot of bites early in the year. At least it always has been for me. But if you get one, man, it could be a great good one, and just a great big one. And so I threw it, and I started walking it, and I was walking it and popping it, and I started popping it pretty fast. And oh man, all of a sudden one just came out from that dark spot and just went ape on it. Just absolutely crushed it. And I reeled down, I set the hook, and the frog's flying behind my head. And in my mind, I'm like, you should have rigged your worm. That worm, I think Dudley even talked about this in the MLF event that he fished, and then again with Luke. And just talking about how efficient a wacky rig is around spawners. You're going to hook them better. And I'm kind of disappointed in myself because I wasn't ready with the wacky worm. But then I remembered a spawning trick I learned from our buddy Alabama Mike Reed with what you do with the frog, and that's slow down. I was popping it pretty fast,
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that literally happened in that thought process. And I frantically reeled it up and cast it back out there and just literally sat it slow and popped it in place. And just a ton of bricks happened again. And I hit her really hard. She came really, really hard at me. Got a lot of slack on me, but the casting did its job, the casting frog rod. And I reeled back up to her, and the co-angler was ready with the net. Slid her in there, and number 5 was a 6 pound and 1 ounce largemouth. And
Nice.
I'm absolutely jacked, just absolutely jacked.
Let me ask you this, because I was critical of you when your wife caught a 6 pounder and you had an excessive celebration.
Yeah.
and slowed down from your fishing. What did you do?
I did. I wasted 5 minutes last week.
Did you do that this time? What did you do?
No, I didn't. I put it in the well. I did. My co-angler was already like taking a picture for me, so I appreciated that. And because I wanted to send it to my wife and kids and whatnot. But I got it in the box, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I'm looking at the time. It's only 9:45, and now I'm recognizing this moment, and I think you know this moment, Pete. But it's I can win. It doesn't always turn into a win, but you recognize it when it comes, Yeah. And I got so pumped about my day then.
We all,
because I had so much time.
We all recognize and I appreciate this. You gave us the a 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock update with a picture of that giant.
Yep.
We knew we felt you were on the right track for sure.
How long? how still does time stand at that point, Justin? When you realize you have just you got a really good shot to win, but you're not weighing in for another 6 hours.
Dude, it felt like I knew the goal was 20 pounds, right? So I knew I had work to do, but I was I was already really jacked to go fishing as a boater and just get to go where I wanted to go and just call the shots. But I got really jacked in that moment to go fishing.
Crack all the ones that you shook off yesterday.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It wasn't like, oh, man, I'm going to
Everybody's getting swung on now. It's like
Yeah.
One timer.
Yeah. I kind of knew that there wasn't going to be just like this lake-wide frog bite. And so it wasn't like I was going to go throw that the rest of the day. I literally was like, I got my kicker. Like if I just fill the limit with a wacky rig or a jig, that's where my head's at. Let's fish it all. I wasn't writing anything off. I wasn't going to run with this. I mean, I was going to fish the walls in between now. But anyways, I literally drank some water. I got underneath all those rods on the right side of my bass cap and got the pack of Berkeley Generals out and put them in that left compartment up front where I could get to them fast. And I rigged a wacky rig on my hook. And the first thing I did with it before I was about to pick up my frog and cast it, behind another dock before I was going to alternate with the jig. And I was jacked because I felt like those are some big fish baits that I could alternate the rest of the day and try to get another kicker. And then I take the Cinco or the General and fire it up right back where I caught that fish in. And all of a sudden my line's moving off. I was just kind of casting it to cast it out because the spinning reel hadn't been casted in a while. since probably my daughter used it 2 weeks ago. And I lean into her, and all of a sudden I've got a 4-pounder flying through the air, you know? And so we work it to the net, and I just like, oh my gosh, I just caught a pair, because that was a male. It was a very big male, but it was given all the signs, you know, peeing and everything like that it was a male and skinny and stuff. So I literally caught a 6-1 and a 4-0 on back-to-back casts, and
that'll work.
Now I
Yeah.
know I'm
Yeah.
cooking. Yeah.
Now we're rolling.
Now I know I'm cooking, right? And so I fished everything. I went up to the next dock and I fished it with a jig, and I came back and threw the when they spawn, I like to throw slow stuff, and I like to just throw like power fish, a Cinco. If you've ever watched Mike Iaconelli throw his dum rig, he looks like he's power fishing. That's kind of what I was doing with that. And then I'd throw the frog at anything that looked good, like I might, you know, get hit or whatever.
Pete's offended you said Senko and didn't give him the credit.
Oh, he definitely made that suggestion Friday, but that's something, Brian. I'm on Team Cinco in the spawn, man.
Oh, of course,
that's
absolutely.
That I've caught a lot. I've weighed in a lot of 4 to 5 pounders on it the last couple of years, that time of year, and so it's something that's always rigged up, and man, I went out of this pocket, and I go into the third pocket, and I'm to the deepest dock, and I'm still keeping everything with an open mind, and I slide a jig under a dock that's got like 11 or 12 feet of water in front of it, and line goes limp. I crack it. It's a 2 3/4 pounder, you know, and I boat flip it. I think at my smallest at that time, because that 4-pounder made a coal, I think I still had like a 2-pounder. And so I got the Rapala scales out, right? So I got the Rapala scales out, and I'm weighing them, and I got like a 2.6 and a 2.8 and a 3.0 and a 4.0 and a 6. And so, you know, doing the math on that, that's a pretty good bag. And and I'm really feeling it right now, and it's still only about 10 minutes after 10 since I've made this change, you know. And but then I got another jig bite, but it wasn't on the backside of a dock anymore. So in my mind, it's like, you know, obviously they're not all positioned and doing the same thing right now. Let's just take some in whatever phases they are, and the others up on the bank. And I go about 3 docks into that pocket and see another, you know, likely spot on a seawall, just a turn and a break. Like there's no seawall for like 12 feet. And I noticed that the owner had put like some sand there or whatever to beach like a kayak or canoe. And it looked like another dark spot, like a rock or something right at the tip out there. And so I grabbed that wacky rig, throw it right over there, and my line's moving off 6, 7, 8 feet to the left. Set the hook. Dude, I feel like 4 head shakes, like dole, dole, dole. And I'm like, oh my gosh, get the net, man. And this fish screams drag, starts ripping drag to the left, decides to come straight at me, goes underneath my nose of my boat where I have to dip down over the trolling motor and come this way. And then she jumps, and she kind of stunned herself after she jumped and kind of just sat there. And at Oconee, I think I had like 12 or 15 pound fluorocarbon leader. I'm not doing that light stuff, you know, not like I would be at Nair or Hartwell. So the water's dirty, you know. So I had like 12 or 15 pound leader, and so I just kind of horsed her right to the net and got her in, and just saw how big she was. And that one went 5.8, 5.5.
Good night.
And right then and there,
Yeah.
right then and there,
Stick a fork in it.
Probably a wrap. And I started picking apart everything. I think I caught another on a jig in that pocket that didn't help, like a 2-pounder, and then I caught a couple 2.5 pounders on the general. I got to the point where, you know, I was starting to fish fairly quick, you know.
Just catching them so nobody else can. It's like, I shook you off yesterday. Today I'm catching you.
And I go into the fourth pocket, and I kind of breeze through there and catch a couple small ones, and my co-angler caught a non-keeper in there, and we're coming out, and it's been a while since that 5/8, probably 30 minutes at this point, and I come to the deepest dock again, and I was still just fishing everything, keeping an open mind, and I grabbed the jig and slid it under there, and crossed one's eyes, and it looked like a 5-pounder, big old head and length, and wasn't very healthy, it's kind of skinny, and it weighed like 3 3/4. And so it was about 11 o'clock, and I had 22.4, at that point. It's an unbelievable day. Just unreal.
3 pounds in front of second place, JK. That was absolutely an amazing win. And I'll be honest, I appreciate you recognizing me. It's one of the funnest things for me to watch, somebody that you're working with or talking to, and it helps you get into the winner's circle, man. It's
one of your children, Pete.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's as big a thrill as if I did it myself. And, that was awesome. Congratulations on an amazing win. And that was terrific. We've got John Cox. He's going to be with us here in just a minute or two. So, Alex, thank you, buddy. We're going to let you roll. Thanks for hanging out with us, and good luck at your next derby. And shout out to all the boys at Ball State fishing team.
Yeah.
And we hope to catch up with you very soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations again, Justin. Thanks for having me on tonight, guys. And looking forward to hearing what Mr. Cox has to say.
Right on,
awesome.
Man. Thanks for hanging, Alex.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And and JK, great story. Thanks so much. And for sharing that with us, and congratulations again. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be bringing up another winner, a huge winner.
Yes.
Swimming a jig. John Cox will be with us right after this.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
We're different. Some would say obsessed. There's no place on earth we'd rather be than right here, right now. Performance-driven gear, so you can fish longer, harder. Gills Performance Fishing.
One thing that's happened that's probably advanced our electronics more so this year than anything that has in a while, C-Clear power wiring harness. These units are designed to do a certain thing. If you're not getting enough power, enough wattage, enough voltage, they're not going to perform the way they're supposed to perform. C-Clear power wiring harness fixes that problem. One of the great things about the C-Clear power harness is it doesn't matter what brand of unit you have, it doesn't matter what kind of boat you got. The thing that you want from the C-Clear harness is power. C-Clear Power puts enough voltage to your units to make them maintain the performance that they're supposed to maintain. So if you're not seeing everything like you think you should see it, C-Clear Power will show it to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's fun day.
And we're live.
Welcome back to Bass University Live. Just coming off the heels of a tremendous BFL win, Justin Kimmel. And we've got John Cox going to be with us here momentarily talking about his big win. And I'm really excited to have him back on the show. He's always so much fun to be around, but JK, what a crazy win he just had. I mean, he's the only guy up on the bank, and just dominated.
The only guy catching him.
Yeah.
The only guy catching him. Yeah, I actually had a buddy from Georgia who was in on the same creek on day 1 and then backed out on day 2 because Cox was in there. He mentioned Skeet Reese was in there. He mentioned a couple other big names. Largemouth guys were kind of poking around, and to me that makes it more impressive because you just see how successful John was when sounded like there's some other guys he's sharing it with. I'm not sure. So pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, let's find out.
Yep. Pete, I got John Cox sitting in the queue. As I get him ready, Rich has got something for us.
Yes.
For you.
For the first $25 Gills Gear gift card giveaway tonight, guys, we got a little question coming at you. And if you haven't checked out Gills Gear, you need to head over to gillsgear.com. Check out their whole line of products. It's really, really good stuff. This stuff is technically advanced to keep you cool on the water. I'm wearing it. Pete's wearing it. Justin's wearing it. This stuff is really the deal. It's comfortable. It keeps you cool, and it looks good too. So check out gillsgear.com to get yourself some Gills Gear for this upcoming season. Now, without further ado, we want to know from you, what did our very own Pete Gluzek rename the miscellaneous prize to at the beginning of the show? What is the miscellaneous fish referred to if you're fishing with Pete Gluzek?
I can't even remember the answer to that question.
It's okay, Pete. I remember.
I wrote it down.
That's funny.
That's great. All right, Gills Gear. Thank you, Gills Gear. We love Gills Gear, and I see our buddy. He looks like he's getting settled in. It's great to have him with us. The champ is back again. The great John Cox. Yay!
Hey guys, what's happening?
What's up, Johnny?
What's up, champ?
Oh, not much. Just finished up practicing here on Pickwick, and yeah, it was a pretty incredible week last week.
You done counting your money?
Yeah, right. I still don't believe it, man. I was like driving over here, and I blown away. Looking over, I see the trophy in the front seat and the fake check in the back. It's just pretty crazy.
That's great, man. It's gosh almighty, you just keep winning. You're winning at an alarming rate, John. If you keep this up, you were going to blow the doors. You're going to break all kinds of records, man.
No, it won't. I mean, I'm just I'm thankful to get another one. And it's all these times. I thought after the forward facing stuff, I was like, man, I'm never gonna have a shot again. So this one was just awesome. It was just great.
And that's insane because everybody else in the top of that field was using forward-facing sonar. And I mean, I don't know if you knew that during the competition or not, or saw the guys, but
no, I did notice that. Because I didn't catch a spot until the last day, so like I knew those guys were catching a lot more fish, and it was kind of intimidating. I got top 10. We're all lined up on the bank, and everybody's got their rods out and stuff. And I never take mine out because everybody thinks I'm like hiding my stuff, but I'm just paranoid because one time I was actually there on that lake, and my cameraman stepped on my only spinning rod. And it was just like, going in the last day. So I always keep my rods up until I get there. And it was just, so the top 10, they were, all the boats are lined up, and I'm seeing like all the guys' rods, and they got giant swim baits on and stuff. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, someone's going to catch them today, And so I didn't really, I didn't feel comfortable all day at all.
Well, it's crazy because I'm watching this thing unfold. And everybody's, like you said, they're all spot fishing. They're all looking at their sonar and, or using giant swim baits, and here's John Cox doing what he does better than anybody else on the planet. And just getting in the shallows, getting up there during the spawn, and just doing your whole shallow water approach and just really finishing ahead of the field, man. It was, it was crazy to watch it go down.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't know each day. Each day I caught 5 or 6 fish. That was it. And man, it was never 2 fish in the same spot. It was just kind of moving. There was one, I think day 3 it was. I was never able to get on anything I wanted to hit. There was so many locals out there. There's another little tournament going on. And I just found myself running down the lake, and every spot I wanted to pull in, there was someone there. So I just started fishing some random stuff and got 5 bites that day. And, just somehow, it's crazy.
John, I got to ask you about this, because this is what I noticed about you. And I wish I had more of this. I call you Smiling John Cox. I don't know if anybody else uses that, but you're always smiling. You're always in a great mood, unlike Brian the Carpenter. And I gotta feel
it for that one, Peter. Smart ass remark coming your way.
I expect no less.
That's right.
But in between those moments, because you're fishing for just a few bites, and right, you always seem to be happy and enjoying yourself. That mental side of it, that's got to be one of your big, assets, one of your keys to success, don't you think?
I mean, I try to. I mean, I might look kind of calm, but like I'm not gonna lie, I caught 3 of them that first day, and I kind of felt like things were going good. Or that last day, felt like things were going good, and then I had a great big one eat it, and I set the hook, and it was. I mean, I just completely inside just was, ripped apart, because 4-pounder goes such a far away, and to have set the hook and miss them. It was like I tried to play it off like, I just missed the 4-pounder. See that? Did you get that on the camera? But really inside, I was dying like very slowly. It was so it was. I tried to keep it together, but it was stressful, and it's weird that you can feel it. Like you can feel that. Like I'm getting more bites today. I'm seeing fish. Someone is catching them, and to have that feeling, it was. I mean, I was sick, and I was sick until that last fish. I mean, that was just like it was like I waited for that moment, and I waited, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna win, because I just nothing like that moment didn't happen that day, until the last 7 minutes.
So it's a trick. You're smiling to keep from crying in that situation.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, inside I was dying. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it looks great. I promise. I think everybody watching wants to be out fishing with you. We're like, man.
I do enjoy it. Like I love fishing. Like every day I go out there and it's incredible that you can, that you're able to do this, that we're able to do this and make a living from it, and it's like dream come true. And, I don't take any day, any practice day, any time you just go out for an hour and fish with a buddy or whatever, I don't take any of them days for granted.
And you fish. I mean, I've seen it. Like you get done a tournament, you go fishing. You're always looking for an opportunity to go fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, and also I'm constantly taking it in and learning stuff. Like I've even this year, it was weird. I'm like getting ready for Pickwick, and I'm looking at the weather, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna get cold this weekend. Like it's gonna cool down for the tournament, which is for me normally it would be like, oh, nightmare, But like I'm like kind of looking forward to it, kind of that, getting a little bit colder. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm just learning a lot of stuff, and yeah.
Will you have a fritz side tied on this week, John?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. If it cools down just a little bit more, I think I can get going again.
Do you own a forward-facing sonar unit?
It's funny. I got one. Lawrence, they sent me one right before I got the Smith, and I was really gonna put it on because I'm thinking, man, I'm not. I want to have a shot at. I want to win again, and. So I was going to put it on, and I got to Smith kind of late, and because Savannah had a tournament the day before, so then I drove through the night, and I couldn't make it, so then I drove the rest of the way the next day, and I just didn't put it on. I just left it in the car, and yeah, went out there.
Is it on now?
No, I didn't put it on yet.
I love it.
What'd you hawk it for? How much you get?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I can't imagine what will happen when that tool gets in your hands. I mean, you know, Brad Rutherford puts a flat side crankbait in your hand, and then you go on a winning tear. You learn this. You're forward facing. You're gonna be killing it that way. I'm sure.
I don't know, man. I even today I like found water. You know, we're not throwing right to the bank, and gosh, I hate it. I hate it. I love so much throwing near the bank, you know, at a target, and you know, I'm fine throwing to the bank, not catching anything. Like, I'm cool with it. I'm like, yeah, you know, as long as I'm throwing at something and I feel like something's gonna eat, you know, I'm happy.
Let's go there, man. I was watching it. It looked like you were with us out on the water, and Riz, you were with us that day, right?
Yep, sure was.
We were watching you swim a jig and talk about how you did that with the Berkeley chunk, and that looks it looks exactly like how you were catching them in this tournament.
I know it was identical for what we talked about, you know, same rig, everything. And yeah, I mean, it was the same way. You know, I had a chance to win there before, and then it got kind of cold, and then it started warming up, and I felt like I was going to win, and then I ran myself over in the boat. So it was so unreal that I felt like I was back in that same tournament, you know, and
wow.
And they were just eating that thing up.
You wait a minute. You ran yourself over in the boat?
Yeah, well, that was like what happened at Smith. So Smith, back in 2015, I was like in like second or third or something, and going into the final day, and I started catching them. It started warming up. You know, they really started eating that jig, and I was like, I'm gonna win this thing. They got, you know, 2 camera boats on me and everything. We're running around and we're hitting spots, and gosh, all of a sudden, you know, that motor trimmed out, and the boat spun around actually I had Brian New in the boat with me, and he was my camera guy. He was holding one of the little camcorders, and he got thrown over my head, and then the motor got me, and I had to quit for the day. I kind of wasn't sure where I was at that time. I rode back with the fire department back to the ramp.
Holy smokes!
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So that was the thing. Like, so that lake, I really wanted to win on that lake, you know, and since that tournament, I came close a couple times. I got second a couple times, and I was like, gosh, man, I'm never gonna win on this lake because, you know, something always happens, and it was just so cool that it went so well. And then, you know, and then catching that one at the end, it was just like it erased all those bad memories, you know.
I am so pissed that you caught that one at the end, because I watched the whole thing, and I had to walk away or something, and I came back, and then everybody's talking about how you caught this giant fish to seal the deal, and I missed the whole thing, and I had to go back and watch. After watching it all day, I missed that 5 minutes, but yeah, that was crazy.
I know. Yeah, that was the one bite I was waiting for, and I couldn't believe it. I was honestly getting ready to go in. I had 7 minutes, and I'm like, I'm just gonna head in. You know, I'm already in the idle zone, whatever. And I was like, gosh, 7 minutes. You know, something can, you know. I just when I won at Chick that time in the last 10 minutes. You know, I caught 2 4-pounders, come in, win the tournament, and I was like, man, 7 minutes. So I shot over there, and I actually thought about Benji yelling at me, like coming in, like if I ever came in early, I always got yelled at by Benji when I came in. He was like, man, he's like, you know, you got to till the last minute you got to cast, and so I shot. I didn't even know he was gonna be there, and I shot over there. Caught that one and came in, and he came up to me and he's like, man, I thought you were coming in. And he's like, I was fixing to chew you out when you got to the ramp. And I was so glad you went over to that pocket.
That's good. That's great. Is Benji's your longtime fishing partner, traveling partner?
Yeah, he traveled with me. Gosh, I guess it was since I think maybe 2014. And gosh, he he was in Birmingham area, and so it was so nice. Like he would take the boat home sometimes, and then he'd come pick me up, and then he was he was like my co-angler too. So he fished the co-angler side when that was going on, and we fished a bunch of bass opens and stuff together, and it was fun times.
Yeah, well, it was cool that he was able to come to this, and you were swimming a jig. Was the swim jig, was that the dominant weapon for you this week or that week?
I tried other stuff. Not a lot of times in any of the tournaments, it's really hard to go 4 days doing the same thing, the same technique. And it was just crazy. So I kept waiting for when the change was going to happen. When that bite was going to stop. And I think I tried other stuff, and it was like I always went back to it and got bit right away. So I just kind of stuck with it, and probably out of the 20 fish I weighed in, I think half of them were actually like I was going down the bank swimming, and then all of a sudden I'd see it, that area where you're like a bass lives there, and so I would just flip it in, and let it hit the bottom and let it sit for a second. And that's how I caught half of them too, doing that.
So swimming it or flipping it, and that's the versatility of the swim jig.
Oh yeah.
No,
it was. You could attack whatever was in front of you with it. You could throw it at everything. So it was just in the way the lake's set up, like you couldn't just go flip. There was too much stuff to flip. There's too many miles of flipping stuff. You would never put it in front of 5. So swimming it in between was just a good way to pick up some fish.
Yeah. Well, when you taught about, and guys, I want to invite you to go check out John's seminars at Bass U. He gives a seminar on water. What did we do this 2 years ago now, or a year ago?
I think 2 years ago, two falls.
Okay. And it was eye-opening to me how you do it, because you really are keeping that bait high up in the water column, and that was unique to me. I hadn't seen that before, but that allows you to see the strike.
Right. Yeah. It just allows you see follows, and it kind of just for me, it's more of searching, trying to find the active fish, and it was crazy, throughout the week. The water temp was warming different parts of the lake, and normally you're thinking, the warmer the better, but what was happening was the warmer the water got, the further along the fish got, and they wanted to spawn and they wanted to rub, and so what I did, I ran further down the lake to cooler water and tried to get that prime like 58 60 right in there, and those were those fish that just came out of deep water, and it was like they would eat that thing like they've never seen it before.
So when you say down the lake, you mean south, like going to the southern end of the lake?
Well, just going down towards deeper water, like towards the dam. We went way out of the very upper end of the river, so it was kind of like it was the warmest up there where we went out of, and like I would run down the lake to get to where the water got cooler as it got too warm,
Right. But so I'm asking this because I think a lot of people would have the same question. If you're on a lake and you're going south on the lake, like 10 miles south, 15 miles south, common thinking would be that further south would be warmer, but is it the opposite?
Well, no, so what it is, like that reservoir we're on, Smith, the further up the river you go, the shallower it gets, and it's dirtier and it warms quicker.
Okay.
When you run down the lake, you run south or whatever direction that is,
Gotcha.
wherever towards the dam, you got a lot more deeper water, a lot colder water, and it was just like, I was swimming a black and blue dirty swim jig with a black blue flake meaty chunk on it, and
right,
and it was 40-pound braid in clear water, like they normally it's like braid and clear water and everything. It's like it was crazy. It was amazing that how well it worked there.
John, can you like palm a like a watermelon? Like your forearms got to be like just jacked from throwing a swim jig like that for 4 days in a row and practice. I've done it for like 1 day on on Neely Henry, and by the end of the day, my hands were cramping up.
Right, and it was weird that and I really figured that out that week in practice, because I was like, man, my arm is going to be killing me. I got to go straight from there to Pickwick, then to Rayburn. And I put the jig on a Revo EXD 80-1, which I think it picks up 35 inches per turn. And that it didn't wear me out. Like I went all day, first day, nothing, second day, and I felt fine. But and then once I got the lead, the adrenaline kind of kicked in, and then coming in that right before I caught that big one at the end, gosh, man, I was telling you, my shoulder was like throbbing, and it was like it hurt in all kinds of places I didn't know was possible.
Is the rod selection, that's got to be important, like rod fatigue when you're doing that? What's the rod you're using?
Yeah, so the thing with the rod, so a lot of people, I want to throw their swim jig on too heavy a rod, and like when you get around a lot of vegetation and stuff, you do need the heavier rod. But for the kind of stuff we were throwing at, some of the days some of the fish I caught, I was just swimming it a little bit deeper in the water, down rocks and stuff, kind of those same areas that you would normally fritz side or however you would fish the rocks, and I would swim that and catch them like that too. But the whole thing about giving that action was I'm throwing mine on a 7.6 medium heavy Fantasista Premier, Boo Garcia rod, and the reason that rod is so perfect for that is because it has backbone. It's 7.5 foot, so it picks up tons of line. It's got enough backbone to drill the drive the hook through the fish's mouth. But the tip and everything, if it flexes enough, that it helps you pop that jig and give it that swim. So that jig, when you give it the action with that trailer, and when you give it that action, that jig comes alive. Like if you're watching it and not watching me work it, you're like, sometimes you wouldn't even know that was like a swim jig. You'd be like, man, what is that? Coming through the water, like it's pretty cool.
Well, that's
John, I know
that's a great
you.
rod. Go ahead, JK. What do you got?
John, I know you probably gave this away in the on water video, but for the guys watching right now, how are you rigging your chunk? Are you threading it up there, or are you using like a spacer and just tipping it? Or what are you doing?
So this week, what I did, I just punched it straight through, with the little, with the flat part on top and the bottom part on the bottom. I just punched it right through the center of it.
Yep.
Okay. And what I've done, because they were like those fish that came out of deep water, it was down their throat, But what I'll do is to try to mix it up some, like when they're not really aggressive and they're they've been up there for a little bit and they're coming at it and they're just nipping at it. Sometimes then I'll thread it on, or if I go to a smaller jig, I'll thread it on. But when I wanted for the way the fish were that week and stuff, I wanted that bigger profile, that longer profile. I wanted to swim more fluid, and that was the best.
Okay.
Pop it right on there.
Okay, so I didn't get to watch you this weekend because I was fishing at Derby as well. But you said deep water. So how define deep real quick? How deep were you catching your fish?
Oh no! I was catching them in like nothing. I was seeing them come up.
Okay.
But those fish were coming out of deep water to move up to spawn, so they were fresh. They haven't seen anything.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like, this was their first time, coming to the bank since whatever the fall or maybe even before then, and so they came up and they were like, they just, you can tell they haven't seen jig in a while.
Riz, man, I want to send this over to our guys because I know we got some questions on the IM board for John. So let's see what we got over there.
Yes, Scott Martini wants to know if you dyed your hair to match him and his dad's.
No, my hair, it's gosh, I don't even know. I guess I gotta keep it now. I don't know. But
what's your wife saying about that?
Do what?
What's the wife saying about that hair right now?
Yeah, so she was the one, we dyed it because the daughter wanted to dye hers and everything, and she was like, well, you're going to Fort Loudon, you've never been there, it's going to be cold, you're probably not going to catch them, what are you going to do, what are you going to change up if you cut your hair, and I was like, that's a good point. So I was like, we're gonna roll with it. So we went to the first one and we did so good there, I was like, gosh, I'm gonna have to keep it to the next one, and then we won. So now I'm like,
oh man,
I really don't know what I'm gonna do.
Well, we're keeping the hair. We all need to grow the hair.
That's right. And Andrew Williams wants to know, do you ever put rattles on your jigs, and if so, what scenarios?
You know, I don't a lot. I kind of like to kind of go with the more quiet approach, but I'm sure it really could come into play at times, and maybe some of those times that I'm not throwing the swim jig, and they might really eat it, you know. But a lot of times I just go like my swim jigs, like my it's kind of like my more silent chatterbait approach, you know, like, you know, when I want something a little more noisy, I go with the chatter. And then when I want something a little more silent, I go to the swim jig.
No rattles. That's well, in that scenario, man, that's key, especially with those high pressure situations that you were facing with. That's got to be, well, clearly it's a winning scenario. Riz, do we have any more IMs for John? Because I want to rapid fire to you, John, because I want to get you back to sleep. I know you're
yeah.
You know, we don't want to keep you all night. We're super excited that you're able to come and spend a little time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, FDW wants to know, how do you feel about going for the 5 biggest bites in a day as opposed to going for numbers of fish like the MLF style?
Right. You know, for instance, Smith Lake was perfect for 5 good ones a day. And I like fishing that way. But I'm excited about the MLF format. I mean, I fished one like that already, the title championship we had on Sturgeon Bay. And every fish count was awesome. I mean, I don't know. I caught so many like 5, 4s, 3s. I mean, it was really cool. Adding all that weight up, and it was pretty intense. And so I did it. You know, there's 2 different, it's 2 different ways of fishing, kind of. And I'm just excited of catching as many as I can, and to even grind it on just to get those 5 good ones.
You're happy just as long as you're fishing. I know it.
Yeah, that's it.
John,
Riz,
Fast Eddie wants to know: do you hesitate before you set the hook once you feel the fish?
So that's the really crazy thing about the max scent meaty chunk is that a lot of times fish come up, they grab your back end of your jig, they pull your your pitcher off, your chunk off, whatever it is, and they don't get the jig. It's something that's just that the max scent is just so amazing that if you see him come up and get it and he doesn't have the jig in the mouth, I give him a second. And like 90% of the time, he'll just take the rest of the jig once he tastes the max scent.
Nice. Great questions. Appreciate you guys. We're going to hook all you guys up with some cool stuff from the Bass University crew. And John, you got 1 day of practice. How do you fish a major derby with 1 day of practice? How'd you use it?
Well, that's that's kind of the situation in this one. It's going to storm bad. Tomorrow, probably not going to get out there. Got here late the first day because we were doing day 5. And what I did today was I did a lot of driving. I burned a whole tank of gas in the crest liner. And I'm really just looking. I'm trying to, I'm looking at the weather. I know a lot of things are changing. We're getting a ton of rain coming. Right now, the water's 7 feet low on Pickwick. So I'm kind of, I only caught 2 fish today. And, and I just moved around a lot, so I'm just I want to be okay with the area I'm going to fish. I want to find an area where I can go, and I'm going to just try to learn it during the tournament. And so that's what I'm going to do.
Well, you've got the best attitude in the entire sport. So if anybody can do it with 1 day of practice, it's you. And
I don't know. We'll find out after this one. I might be bald after this one.
Dude, the hair is going to carry you. It's going to carry you.
I hope so. Gosh, I hope so.
Hey, man. Well, I just want to thank you so much again. Thanks for being part of Bass U. Thanks for taking the time with us tonight. I know you're pressed and you got a lot going on, but we're going to be watching tomorrow, man. Swimming a jig, Fritz side, whatever it takes, man. We're gonna be watching you do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, John.
Best, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Congrats,
Great,
bro.
See you, buddy.
Great, John Cox.
Yes.
The champ. Good luck, buddy. Good luck, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you,
man.
Bye.
All right. So, guys, before we brought John Cox on, we had a question that went out to the message board of what was Pete Gluzek's reference to the miscellaneous fish in a bass tournament, and the correct answer to that came in from Sean McForrest, which was most unusual, the most unusual award at a local derby. So he got himself a $25 Gills Gear gift card. And the next one we're going to go with for a $25 Gills Gear gift card is how many of those BFL trophies does Mr. Kimmel have to his name? How many BFL wins does Justin Kimmel have? That'll be a $25 Gills Gear gift card.
And if I may, about the Gills right now, I'm really enjoying a certain product right now. Like seriously, I want to wear it every single time I'm on the water. The problem is I only have one
underwear,
so I'm probably about to order some more. No, it's the one that's got the neck. It's got the neck gaiter built in and the breathable piece, so you're all covered. You know, it comes over my hat like this, and it comes up to about right here, and I'm completely covered. But it's breathable, so my sunglasses aren't fogging. It's amazing. I kind of doubted it a little bit when Tiger told us about it, but man, it's like 7 for 7. I've worn it like almost every day on the water here in the last couple of months. I love it.
Yep.
That answer came in super hot and fast from Mr. Lee C. And the answer of 7 BFL wins for the professional fish head's career.
7 for 7, baby.
Lucky number 7.
Let's go.
Call that an Elway.
There it is.
I like it. And thanks, Gills, for providing us with all this great gear. And I also want to give a shout out to AquaView, who is a new partner with Bass University. Very excited. We talked about how we're going to be incorporating some of the AquaView underwater footage into some of our future Bass University instructional pieces.
Yes.
Really excited to add that to the educational process. I think it's going to be an amazing asset for the program.
I do too. I want to get a hold of one, man. I got some places up north. I need to take that thing.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, especially after Gussie coming on. I mean, I've heard Ott Defo talk about it a lot, and or some. Gussie I opened my eyes like, oh my God, this is such an important tool in so many different scenarios to be able to help you catch more fish or even identify the habitat and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and he said, for people with kids, it's just a good time, and I'm all about the good time, so I just want to go out there and look at them. I can't catch them, so I might as well just look at them. Look up at the clouds, look down at the fish, think about it.
Enjoy the day like John Cox.
Wait for some UFOs to come by.
They've got a 5.0 mini that I thought was really cool. It's one of their most popular items. It basically fits in the palm of 2 hands.
Wow.
And real quick to deploy. That to me is pretty interesting, and fast. Like I see it. I'm up on the trolling motor. I'm seeing something. I can't recognize it. Can't maybe identify the species, and I can just drop right down on them with the camera and take a look around. I see that as being a big tool for me. So I'm excited about that program. And look for some more of that stuff coming from AquaView. By the way, you can get all that stuff at Tackle Warehouse as well, and as well as. By the way, all of our Bass University hats are available over at Tackle Warehouse.
Hey, Pete, by the way,
now,
what you got
a couple of them.
What you got on your head, Pete?
This on my head is a brand new.
There's that one.
This is the popular one. Right? This is the hot one.
That one's amazing.
Until this one comes out, this one is the new Bass University red, white, and blue inspired hat. Jocelyn. Give big props for her, being the inspiration for this design, as well as James Riley, who
the message board just got flooded with Pete put the hat back on for someone throws a net over top of you. There it was.
Is that you're getting back at me now? Right.
Yeah. I had one earlier, but I didn't have an opening.
Nothing but love from here on out, man. Nothing but love.
That was a backup.
Okay. Well, anyway, this one's going to be available at Tackle Warehouse very, very soon. So look for it. We'll let you guys know when it's
Yeah, that's awesome hat, man.
Yeah. Well, Alex, what's going on with you, buddy? Good to have you back. What's happening over at YouTube?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of good comments coming in tonight. I want to thank everyone for interacting over there. And I want to ask this question to Justin. It came in from DJ Plummer, and I think we kind of grazed over this. So Justin said he went from about 8:45 to 9:45, and he just wasn't getting bit, and he realized need to make a change. And then at 11 o'clock, he's got his three biggest fish in the boat. I mean, that's a pretty quick turnaround. And I think any tournament angler would be very proud of. So Justin, what DJ wants to know is when you're making a pattern, what do you do to determine like that might just be a random bite, and how do you kind of separate from I got this random bite here, is it worth running a pattern with it, or is it just kind of a fluke? Sort of kind of what you do with that frog. How do you determine what you pattern and what you just pick up for one cast and put back down?
Yeah, I think with the frog, it's just years of experience. You know, it's kind of like a wishful thinking kind of thing. If I could get a bite, I mean, I've got a few buddies who are in the Derby, and they'd have one on too, and they didn't get a bite on it. You know, it's just kind of like you see the moment, you see an opportunity for that big fish bait. That might be a jig for you. That could be a swim bait for you, you know, whatever. But when I'm looking for a pattern, I want something really efficient in my hands when I'm looking for a pattern. I want, like, to me, that's like the jig, like the wacky rig. Like right now, honestly, in the spawn, I believe I can catch every single fish that anybody can on a frog on a wacky rig Senko.
Wow.
I truly believe that. And 100% of those fish, if I've done my job with my gear, 100% of those fish are getting in the boat. The frog, that's not going to happen. But it does have that ability to get those to get that big bite. But yeah, I hope that kind of answered your question. I mean, Pete would, I could actually ask Pete the same kind of question, you know, because I don't have as many reps, you know, because I'm carrying my fish the moment co-angler mentality over to the boater side. And I tried to run the pattern and it didn't work. And so that's when I said, I'm fishing everything in front of me. Just because I know the fish are here, I'm going to fish up on the bank and out in front of the docks and everywhere in between, you know?
Well, I'll weigh in a little bit, and I have this mantra that I use: one bite does not a pattern make, and I roll with that. 2 bites on the same cover, you know, it doesn't even have to be the same bait, but if it's on the same type of habitat, or if it's the same bait, you got my attention. 3 bites in the same fashion, okay, you got to give in, right? This is the change has been made, and I'm going to start moving in that direction of those multiple bites. So, but it's great question, and you know, well asked, Alex. Appreciate that. I have a question that I want to throw to you from Caleb over at Facebook. As a young dad and husband, as well as being someone who aspires to fish pro, I enjoy getting to keep up with your journey to the pros. This is talking about you, Justin, along with hearing how your personal life and relationships influence your decision making. So I guess, you know, it's more of a comment than a question, but it's fascinating. You're becoming a fascinating story as you make this transition to the front of the boat. I think a lot of people are relating to that, thinking about doing the same thing. You know what, you know, it's going to be fun to go watch you go through this journey.
Yeah. You know, I don't know where it's going to take us. I'll tell you right now, I love where I'm at. I have the best job in the industry. I love the people I work with. We have an amazing team. You know, Jeff called me, Jeff Olson, our producer and camera specialist. And he called me on Sunday, said, "Are you leaving us yet?" I said, "Oh my gosh, no. But I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I love bass fishing. I just love it, man. And I love it in the tournament format. I have a wife and 3 kids. I don't get to fish every day. So when I'm gone, if I'm leaving that family foundation at home, and I'm competing, and if I am going to spend a practice day, man, I am using every hour of that time away to try to make myself a better angler. And I'm obsessive over it, So yeah, do I want to achieve that dream of one day fishing in a major championship event? Absolutely. Is the tour life for me? Not right now, not in 2021. And I enjoy fishing as much as I can,
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I can fill my schedule with and use my vacation to that point, I'm going to do it, yeah, we'll just take it one step at a time. This was a quicker, I got this boater win a lot quicker than I expected.
Well, I think this brings up something that's really awesome to watch, because a lot of people are, weighing in that transition, when to go from the back to the front and how to go about doing it. And, we'll keep checking in with you on that process, JK, as you go through it. I know you have a list tonight, and I have a list tonight, and being John Cox just was on, let me fire through mine. And it's of course our Tackle Warehouse list. And I want to throw this question to you guys. Swim Jigs dominated this tournament with John. Some of you know the brand that he throws. What is the number one selling swim jig on Tackle Warehouse? Who's got
John throws?
Dirty.
Yeah.
The Dirty Jig.
Yeah, Dirty Jigs, California.
Dirty Jigs. Everybody's Dirty Jigs.
Yeah.
It is not Dirty Jigs, but Sixth Sense.
Divine
Swim
those
Jig.
Sixth Sense boys know how to market, man.
Yeah, that's a good.
They know how to sell
too,
it,
man.
baby.
Yeah, they do. They got it.
That Divine braid swim jig they make is really, really good.
Well, he said, Corey, shout out to Corey at Tackle Warehouse. Appreciate you, man. And it's a virtual tie, but Sixth Sense edged them out.
I will say that Sixth Sense swim jig, you can skip it about 900 miles because it's got that flat. Are you talking about the one, JK? It's got that flat side on the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can
have that screw lock.
Yep, the screw lock. Yeah. I mean, you can send that thing to the back of a dock that's 90 feet long.
Yep.
Nice. Well, let me go backwards. It's Mega Bass is number 10, Santone Lures, Rayburn Swim Jig, 9, Strike King, Tour Grade, number 8, Strike King Hack Attack, number 7, V&M, the Cliff Pace Pulsator or Pulse Pacemaker Swim Jig. Now,
that's a good one.
Now here's where JC comes in. Dirty Jigs, Finesse Swim Jig, Dirty Jigs, No Jack Swim Jig, number 4, Dirty Jigs, California Swim Jig, number 3, Dirty Jigs Swim Jig, number 2. So definitely dominating that category with the exception of the number 1 spot.
And the best one's the Bravarni. It's not even sold in Tackle Warehouse.
Is that right?
That's the best light wire one or the medium wire one.
Yeah,
that's the
light wire. I've seen that one get scary on big ones.
Oh, right.
But when you
place.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and drop my favorite one that's not on that list or sold at Tackle Warehouse, and that's the True South Custom Lures. That bad boy is money.
I'm not going to say
if you're going to put it on 50 or 65. I'll say it for you, Riz.
What is it?
I have no clue. I just throw True South.
Yeah.
It's a bad swim
Pete's
jig.
buddy loves that True South.
We got a guy right
Is
here
that right?
locally. Stevie Hanna makes a.
Yeah, Stevie.
He makes a really good swim jig that I threw a lot last year and caught a lot of fish on it. And when you get a guy that's local, you can tell him how you want him to be. So
JC was throwing them, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
D&L Swim Jigs is a swim jig that I have in my tackle box.
That's a good one. Pete, you turned me onto that one for the flats. That's a good one.
Excellent little grass swim jig.
Very unique head shape.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it does. All right. Well, there you go. Shout out to Tackle Warehouse. And thank you, Corey. You're the man. Appreciate you. JK, I know you're always prepared with some kind of cool list action. What do you have for us tonight?
Yeah, so we kind of mentioned it earlier in the show with that question. There's a a big tournament at Lake Oconee this weekend. And I was going to share my top 5 baits that I'd have tied on for this weekend at Oconee. I don't think you could win doing what I'm doing. We're getting a cold front, we're getting storms, we're getting rain, and it's only going to be a high of 58 on Saturday. And so temperatures kind of going backwards. So in my opinion, some of these fish are probably not going to be trying to do what they were doing last week. You know, there's going to be probably a little pause button on that. Fish could be a little funky. And I know we got a lot of these high schoolers watching. I know that I got a lot of messages. Hope you guys have a fun tournament. But I'll just run it down. Top 5 things. 1 is a shaky head. Don't go to that lake without a shaky head. The Pat Fisher, if I had second-handed learned anything from him, he's one of the greats locally. I've never even talked to him, but I have second-hand learned that you don't go to Oconee without a shaky head. The guys caught way too many 20-pound bags when it gets tough. It's gonna be tough. We've had 150 boat tournaments for like 3 weeks on that lake. So have a shaky head tied on. A shallow crankbait, I think, is gonna come into play. You know, my preference would be a frit side. I think it's gonna be pressured fish. You might want to throw a square bill or just something in kind of harder bottom areas. I think that's gonna be a player. And here's a couple of sneaky ones. A trap. I think a trap could win this tournament this weekend. If somebody could find that bite, I think it could absolutely win that tournament. It's not known for a trap lake. There's not any grass to rip it out of. I just think the way it's setting up with the weather and the mood of the fish, I think that's going to play big time. Another similar on the vibration scale of baits is a chatterbait. I think chatterbait's going to be a big deal. I think they're going to react more. This past week, reaction baits were out. When me and Catherine fished two Saturdays ago, it was all about reaction baits. You know, and I think they're back on the table this weekend for you guys. I know there's going to be a lot of boats in that tournament. And then the other thing is the fish that pulled up. The fish that pulled up and they don't want to go too far away. You know, Pete, they might slide out to 10 feet out in front in a little ditch in the back of a pocket or something, you know, but they're still close. They're still relating to hard cover close to those spawning areas. And they're not going to be in a good mood. And I would tie on the old floating worm. Just a floating trick worm.
Mathalia, so, depending on how
maybe,
you spell it.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite color, I'll go ahead and give up my favorite color on that lake. Some guys might be really mad about this. They're going to sell out at Sugar Creek by the end of tomorrow, is my guess. Yellow. Yellow. Just straight up yellow.
JK, yep. I like your approach to that list. I think that's the right way to go about it. Like you said, you had 80 guys and your kids in your DMs, and you know, looking for some help, but mostly, you know, I just hate to give me your spot kind of approach to it. It's a shortcut. You know,
I don't want to send 80 guys to the same place. Yeah.
There's enough information there if you do your homework, which is what we're supposed to be doing. If you follow how the event played out, if you dig in, you can figure some things out. Do your map study. Look at how you caught them, where you caught them, and figure them out. Giving people leads on the types of baits and things like that to throw, I think that's fair. But to give up spots,
sure,
I hate that. Or dislike.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and say this: I don't think the spot I was in will win. There are other parts of the lake that are going to turn on. I think more local hammers are going to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think the stars aligned for me, and I caught the
living daylights out.
Knock their lights out.
Oh, and by the way, those fish are 20 miles away right
now. Alien abduction.
If there was another female on that stretch, I doubt it, you know. But
that's awesome. Well, JK, is there anything you want to? Is there any final thoughts on that event? I know we had John come on and we were wrapping up talking to you. Do you have any final thoughts on your tournament down there?
Jerry Springer always ended with a final thought. JK, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys don't know me too well, and they're starting to follow along, which is cool. I appreciate everybody's message. The post I made started out with the word humbled, and the reason I am is because I'm getting so much love and support. I think the Bash U guys, our guys, are just amazing, reaching out to me, congratulating me. Man, it's just humbling. It's humbling to show up and beat some of the best guys in Georgia, or all the best guys in Georgia, making that switch. But a lot of guys don't know me. I've always had a demon with just self-confidence issues in life. That dated back as far as I can remember, 20-something years. And, even with fishing, I was able to get comfortable in my team tournaments and, not really having to rely all on myself. And even with the co-angler thing, I got good at it. I honed my skills. I learned from a lot of guys, and I was able to execute a lot. But, taking that leap to the boater side and it not going so well, and then the ones that I thought would go well didn't. Last year, it was kind of easy to just kind of fall back into what I did well with, capping off with the All-American and the Toyota finish and a team championship finish. That was pretty good. And, I faced that demon up front, with making this decision and jumping in. And to be quite honest, I had to face it through practice. The practice day that I took was really slow for a while. And, I got to exercise that pretty good, and so I truly am a lot more confident in myself now. It's funny how you can feel like a new person after a weekend. You don't have those moments. I've had 3 special weekends out on the water in a row, and I think it was a totally meant to be thing. And it totally just lined up I feel like I got all the reasons I needed to keep the boat and to keep fishing out of it. And man, just keep that confidence rolling. By the end of it, I'll tell you that right now, I popped up. I didn't drink or eat anything by noon, and I was like starting to feel horrible. And so I sat and I just smashed one of those body armor things, because those things with the coconut water, they'll kind of get you back going pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I drank like the whole 32-ounce bottle that my team partner had gave me, because I forgot to go get something. And I just kind of breathed, and I was kind of idling to back to the first initial pocket or whatever to go fish it again. And I turned, and I just kind of looking out there, and I was like, I think I could win the Bassmaster Classic one day. So, it's just you're riding high, right? Yeah. You're riding high. But like, that's just
dream big.
The truth. And if you got to have confidence in this sport. You hear all the best of the best say, dude, you got to be confident. It's not cocky. You got to be confident, knowing that you can execute when the things arise. Those moments arise, and
find your motivations.
I'm finally there. And I had a demon keeping me from getting there for years, and I'm finally there. Where awesome. I've got that belief in my abilities to just compete at this level, even with the best guys in Georgia. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome place to be.
Anything Jerry Springer ever said, man.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, that was badass. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Well, you've got a whole family here on the show and watching all over, and we're going to watch you as you go through this process. And I think a lot of guys have gone through it with you, or at least, living through you in the process on how it goes. But I just want to weigh in and say, you got to lose in order to win. And that's a weird thing to say, but losing teaches you so much, and it brings focus, and it is a tremendous learning tool. So when you're in that rut and you're struggling with confidence, you got to recognize that losing is a necessary, absolutely necessary part of winning in whatever it is that you're doing. So, that's a big deal. And, of course you walked through that and you got yourself in the winner's circle, and it was outstanding.
Yeah, thanks.
So we're going to transition. We're going to go into a trivia question. Riz, do you have that trivia question?
I do. I do. I have that trivia question, and we also have a Facebook like and share that we're going to be giving away as well. So, guys, if you're watching over on Facebook, it's not too late. You can still get a chance to win the missile baits and VMC pack. That's like $50 worth of missile baits,
$50.
some VMC, some Nico hooks, Nico weights, all that good stuff. We're going to get you guys ready to go bed fishing. Like and share tonight's feed on Facebook. Get entered in for a chance to win. Now, the question for the trivia is, and listen to the question carefully, when was John Cox's first FLW win? When was John Cox's first FLW win, and on what lake?
Okay. Is that MLF or FLW? I guess.
It was then FLW. So when was John Cox's first FLW win, and on what lake?
All right. I'm guessing somewhere in Florida. Right? That's a solid guess.
Gotta be solid, Pete.
You know, he's a Florida boy. That's probably where he got started. And I wonder how long ago it was.
I remember when he had a heartbreak and he was leading in Florida when he was early in his career, and
his
had the fish
first
come off to win.
FLW win.
Mm-hmm.
And what lake?
Could have been a BFL. You know, could have been a Toyota series or Costa or Everstart or whoever had the flag at that time.
First FLW win.
He's not that old, BTC.
And
he's only like my age.
I am registered
for the Red Bands?
For a BFL. I look back at my record, and I fished
you still got them stone tablets?
Yeah, we used compasses and triangulation.
Oh, we have a winner.
But let's go right to it, Riz. What do we got?
Yeah, we'll go right to this, and then I want to talk more about the BFL you registered for. Steve Bennett with the answer of Lake Kissimmee in 2005. That was an FLW BFL win. So his first FLW win was Kissimmee in 2005. Congratulations, Steve Bennett. You just won yourself an awesome Berkeley Flambeau TH Marine pack, including these bad little hitters right here.
Oh, come on.
Berkeley Fritz sides. They're going to you.
Who's getting them?
Steve Bennett. Steve Bennett's getting those.
So you know what a Fritz side looks like?
Swap
Make
that thing out.
How about some old Normans?
Make him an offer.
Make
him an offer, BTC.
What's that?
Make him an offer. Maybe
I am. I'll just tell him that's what he's getting. Because these went missing.
Love it.
And when was the first time John ran himself over? We learned that tonight too.
Jeez, that was scary.
Congratulations, and yeah, I was looking at I think I fished 4 or 5 BFLs in my career, and the first ones that I fished were at the very, very beginning, back in like 90 or 89 or something like that.
Oh, really? 89?
And yeah, they were Redmans back then. I have to go back and look. I was checking it out the other day, but I don't think I have checked in any BFL in the 5 that I've competed in. So I am going to change that. I'm going to try to change that.
No.
I'm going to try to change that.
No.
Hey,
I signed up for the one in April, right? On the flats?
I did, Riz. I did.
Okay.
There's one on the flats in April. There's another one in May, and I intend to compete in both. But currently, I'm registered for the one in April. So look forward to it.
BTC,
I
get in
fished
that one, dude.
I'm sorry, JK.
I said BTC, get in that one, man.
Yeah,
I might.
Come on, everybody, come down. I fished the BFL, the one that Riz won in the fall, and that was the first one I fished in 20 years, I think. So
cool.
You know, I'm looking forward. Had a great time. Got to see a lot of our subscribers, at that event. So many people reaching out to me. I'm excited to be participating with the MLF and the BFL here coming in a month. So be fun.
I don't love my back of the boat experiences, JK. sometimes it's not as pleasurable.
So take the tin can, man.
Yeah, they let you take that out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could take it out there on a Thursday and just catch fish too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of pay to go out there and get my tail whooped by guys who can actually get to the fish.
Yeah. Well, once again, that time of year could be a factor.
Think so?
Could be. Could be. April's an interesting month. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah. I was down there this weekend, or whenever, Sunday. The water temperature coming out of the river was 47 degrees, 48, and it's going to keep being 47 and 48 degrees for probably the next 2 months.
But really?
Oh, it will. It'll stay cold because the snow melt comes down, and the Susquehanna will stay cold throughout the spring and keep everything chilled so long as that water's running. It's going to be cold.
Gotcha.
But where you launch is not. That'll be 60, 65 degrees.
Hey,
that time of year, Interesting stuff.
I've got a lot of things I want to do this year. So,
well, we'll
awesome.
look forward to seeing. I want to see you with the aqua view up on the reservoirs, Round Valley. I want to see. I want to see what you can see.
Yeah, I want to see what I can see.
Yeah,
can see it. For real.
That'll be fun.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up. I'm exhausted.
You got a Facebook like and share.
Talk to me. Facebook like and share.
Yep. Guys, share tonight's feed if you haven't yet. You still got a couple of seconds here until I select the winner. How many shares did we have, guys? We had over 150 shares. That is absolutely awesome. We appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight for another awesome Bash U Live. You can catch us every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on bashu.tv/live. We're also on Facebook, and we're also on YouTube. And if you want to listen back to the show in the next few days, we'll be on iTunes first thing in the morning and also on Spotify. So we got you covered whether you use an iPhone or you use an Android device. You can listen back to tonight's show on either one, whatever your favorite podcasting platform is. And tonight's Facebook like and share winner is Kip Wright. Congratulations, Kip Wright. You just won yourself a VMC Missile Baits prize pack, getting you ready to head out there and do some bed fishing.
This is short one worm. Just saying, Kip. Message me if you're really missing it. So don't yet have next week's guest booked, but in 2 weeks, you're not going to want to miss it. Super, super excited for 2 weeks from now. Bash U guest Terry Scroggins is coming on. For the last probably 3, 4, 5 years, Mike always mentions his name with some really super cool bait modifications that Terry does.
Vegetable oil.
Way on the down low, all kinds. So Terry's going to hit us up from his laboratory, and it's going to be very excited for that one. So, yep.
Boy, am I going to have a rapid fire for him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can't wait. Bait modification show. Yeah.
I modified one bait out of this bag. And it was easy.
Alex, man, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. You got any parting messages for us tonight? What's next at Ball State? Are they letting you out of class to go fishing? What's going on?
I'm doing my best to get out of class as best as I can. Like I said earlier, I got a tournament this weekend. Looking forward to that. Loved hanging out with everyone tonight. Great to hear some more of Justin's story. I always love hearing how the winners win, because I think that's a lot of how you can better yourself. So great show tonight. Looking forward to another one next Tuesday, and ready to get back in the classroom at Bass U and start learning again.
Awesome, man. And you reminded me, I interviewed John Sokup, the winner of the very first NPFL.
Yes.
And an amazing knowledge source for forward-facing sonar, and really some interesting stuff. And one quick takeaway, got to listen to it. It will be releasing it within a day or two. But is the crappie, the professional crappie world is heads and shoulders ahead of the bass fishing world in their use of forward-facing sonar technology.
Wow.
And he participates in that, in those competitions, and used it, to a T to win down on Lake Eufaula. And just having him teach us how he follows fish, how he fans the transducer to track the fish, identify their movements, and it's gotta watch, guys. Gotta watch.
Next level.
Next level is right. I'm gonna have to watch it again because there was just too much stuff there to catch in one listen. So look for that coming. That's the winner's circle at Bass University. We're going to be launching that in a couple of days.
Yeah. Hey, and big shout out to the guys at the NPFL for what I thought was a great job in their first event.
Agreed.
Definitely expected there to be technical problems with, running a live event from the water, and they ran into their fair share. But, man, huge shout out to Duncan, Dudley, and Fat Cat. I thought those guys crushed it, especially considering what they had to deal with the tech problems. And I thought they're really good at it too. So very excited for those guys, and I can't wait to check out their next one, man. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to a lake in Texas next that has a reputation for putting out some big ones.
All right.
So that's next up on the list for those guys. And yes, I just want to join you in that. They did a wonderful job. It was a lot of fun. Had a big fan turnout for the weigh-in.
Yeah.
Made a big splash with the new tournament trail. So it was great to see them join the party.
Yeah, a couple guys I know did well in it. Landon Tucker, and Keith Carson, John Cox's buddy, know both of them, and they both had brutal first days and made huge comebacks and finished very strong in that one. And Landon Tucker's JT's son, and JT Tucker, right? Yeah. And,
J. Todd Tucker's.
And a local guy, Luke Schrader, had a pretty solid event too. The Nomad, living out of his
Nomad,
truck.
yeah. He's living in his truck for the next 6 months, following the tournament trail around, wishing him the best of luck.
Absolutely.
Friend of the show, friend of all of us here at Bass U. So good luck to Luke. Good luck to, and we'll be watching. I mean, I loved all the tournament coverage. They were the only ones live, and for a few days, and I just enjoyed the heck out of watching them cover the events and watching those guys fish. So it's very cool. Guys, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for being here. BTC, Riz, Alex, JK, congratulations again on an amazing win.
Thank you, man.
And we are going to be right back at you next Tuesday night, 7:00 Eastern time, with another episode of Bass U Live with some really cool stuff we'll be announcing real soon. So thanks for watching, guys. Check out BassU.tv, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
It's Mike Iaconelli. This is Bass U TV.
Here's what's awesome about Bass U TV.
You get the top instructors.
You will learn things at Bass U that you will learn nowhere else.
And we help you build confidence with new techniques.
We take the mystery and the myths out of bass fishing.
Real tools that help you catch more fish consistently.
At Bass U TV, shoes are optional.
And I like turtles.
We teach you to enjoy bass fishing.
And that's why you want to check out Bass U TV.
Join the Bass U family.
Welcome to Bass U TV.